Hello everyone. We'll be doing the leftover part of last class's lesson in this week today. Before starting the class, I would like to thank a lot of the new subscribers who have come in. And not just that, some of my subscribers have been asking me for the classes to be in order because there's a lot of classes, and to access all of them when they are so jumbled up is difficult for a lot of people. So, in such a scenario, I would like to suggest that you look into the description of the English videos or the Malayalam videos, whichever you prefer. And in both set of videos, I always add the playlist where all the videos, all the classes are in order, and you can access that through those links. And if that is not comfortable for you, you could just go to the homepage of my channel, which is accessible from the bottom of the videos is usual YouTube design. So you can access the homepage of my channel and then click playlist, where you have all the playlists that I have made. And in that, you'll find Korean classes in English and Korean classes in Malayalam. So whichever you're comfortable with, whichever you need, you can go for it. Everything is in order, and the Malayalam list might be a bit longer than the English list, because I presume this would be the 17th video, I think, in the English list. But don't worry, in the coming weeks I'll be continuing to upload all the videos, and both for English and Malayalam I'll be continuing. So let's get back to our class for this week. So this week we'll be looking into page number 45 of the material that is in our description box. Like, you can find the link from where you can download the material from which I teach from the description box. So I would advise you to download that material so that it's a bit more helpful and easier for you to access the material. But it's absolutely all right if you're not into downloading that. And plus, a lot of classes I also take from outside the material, or I make classes myself. So it is possible that not everything might be in that material, because I add a lot of stuff too. So you can do as you prefer. So let's get to our lesson. So we will have 2 tables in this lesson. And the first table is the written form. We are looking at Chundemmar in this class. Last class, we looked at Bhammar. I presume all of you know what is the meaning of Chundemmar and Bhammar already, since there are a lot of new subscribers. I can repeat. Bhammar means informal speech, and Chundemmar means formal speech. And we have 3 degrees of respect in Korean. I have been speaking about that continuously in our previous videos, so I would prefer or recommend that you go through those videos and see all the classes in order, because I refer to a lot of previous videos in most of my classes. So you might get a bit confused if you don't have proper previous knowledge. So yeah, back to our lesson. And so polite written form, and we have 2 nouns here, that is hagwa, yeonpil. Hagwa means apple or apology, and yeonpil means pencil. So we are talking about apple here, so we'll be taking things in that meaning. So polite written form, the first section or row, I think, row. First row, you have a positive kind, and the second, the negative kind, that is kind of like yes and no kind of meaning. And the first column, you have present tense, which in Korean is 현재 시제, And the second column you have past tense, which is 과거 시제. So from that you can understand that 현재 means present and 과거 means past and 시제 means tense. So positive present tense, 사과입니다, 연필입니다. So for newcomers, if you look here, 사과 doesn't have a button. 연필 has a button. Now, if you don't know what is a button, as I said earlier, go to the previous classes, finish all that, then come here. And the past tense, positive ones, 사과였습니다, 연필이었습니다. So you have an extra E here. The next one, negative ones, 사과가 아닙니다, 연필이 아닙니다. So the 사과가 연필이, that is the same as the informal ones we saw in the last classes. Just the 아니다, we had 아니다 last time. 사과 아니다, that 아니다 is becoming 아닙니다. Here 사과가 아니었습니다, 연필이 아니었습니다. So 아니었다, which we saw in the last class, is changing to 아니었습니다. So you have more examples, more explanation here. 사과다, we had 사과다 in the informal form, which is becoming 사과입니다. That is, this da you have in the last for in the case of 사과, and the ida you have last in the case of 연필이다 is changing to 입니다. So 사과입니다, 연필입니다. The next one, 사과가 아닙니다. So we are seeing the present tenses first. So 사과가 아니다. So we, as I told earlier, we had 아니다. So the 아니다 is changing to 아닙니다. So the 입니다, 비읍 and 니다. Biip is and nida is getting added. So you can see in many places, to make something from formal to informal, often we just add a biip as bachin, like take the die of there, then add a bachin if there's no bachin, and then we would just add nida. We would be learning more about how converting informal to formal works. But anyways, this is the basic structure. Now for past tense, we had 사과였다 in the informal one. So 사과였다, you're just taking the da from there and just adding 씁니다. So it's literally the biip as bachin and nida. The only thing is, since you already have a sangshit as bachin here, to continue that pronunciation, to make no changes of that pronunciation, since we are only supposed to take off the da at the last, we are just adding an extra shit and in. Shit and this like kind of vowel, so that we can continue this sound without any glitches. So if you think of it that way, it would be easier for you to remember. That's why I said it like that. 사과였다, 사과였습니다. The same way, 연필이었다, 연필이었습니다. The E is staying there the same way, like that. Like the E. After 연필, you had an E because 연필 has a button. You had an E. 사과, there's no E because you don't have a button. So that stays the same as we saw in the last class. If you forgot what was in the last class, you can look into the last class once again before you see this video, so that you can recollect stuff. Now, 사과가 아니었다. The same thing, you're just taking the there and you're adding 씁니다. So it becomes 사과가 아니었습니다. The same way, 연필이 아니었습니다. Here, ga and e is identifier particles. I've already taught you identifier particles. So if you don't know what identifier particles are or any other particles are, it is better you go into topic particle, and that is subject particles and object particle. We have about 3 videos on that, so it's better you go through that. And I'm saying this because most of the time when you're speaking Korean, if it is subject or object particles, you take that off. It's not compulsory to take it off, but like for the ease of speaking, a lot of people when they speak, not a lot of people, most of the people, about all the people of Korea, they would take off that topic, subject and object particles. So, but then also remember that it's not awkward or it's not wrong to add your particles everywhere. Nobody is gonna hear that as if you are okay. Of course, from your looks, they may find out that you're a foreigner, but then just because of the way you speak, by adding all the particles, that is a topic, that is a subject and object particles everywhere, they wouldn't think that you don't know the language enough, or you're making mistakes, or anything is offending them, or anything is rude. They won't think like that, because it's absolutely correct. And there's a lot of situations when Koreans themselves randomly add or take away subject and object particles in the same situation, same sentence, same context, everything same. So it's just kind of a comfort and mood kind of thing, but mostly they take away the particles, which is completely alright. So now we have the next table in the next page, that is the spoken form. The last table was for the written form. Now it is the spoken form. So it is essentially similar for the past tense. You just have some small changes for the present tense. Here, 사과예요. So here, ye is coming, and here, a is coming. Ye and a. 사과예요, 연필이에요. The pronunciation is almost the same, like the last part. That is almost the same, just when you write it, it would be like in a lot of when you're writing 존댓말, it is not compulsory that you use 입니다 and 씁니다 all the time. Most of the time you would use 입니다 and 씁니다 for like when you're writing formal Korean, but then there are also situations where you would just write 예요, 이에요. You would do that a lot, and and it's not like that's very rare thing or anything. It's pretty common to do that, and you would even see a lot of that, like what to say, in street boards and all of that. In books, like literature related books, you would mostly see 입니다 and 씁니다, but otherwise it's a pretty common thing for him to say. So it is 사과예요, 연필이에요. The next one is 사과가 아니에요. So you would say 사과 아니에요, 연필 아니에요. So 사과가 아니에요, 연필이 아니에요. Both are correct. But then when you speak it yourself, try to say it yourself, you can find that 사과 아니에요, 연필 아니에요. That is much more easier to say compared to with particles. And simply that kind of one thing is easier than the other thing. That is the reason why Koreans often take off the particles. And you can see that kind of comfort factor influencing a lot of things in the Korean language and culture. So past tense, 사과였어요. So usually when you speak, when it is 존댓말, you would usually add yo and things would be sorted. But there are times when a person is of incredibly higher position or incredibly older than you, where you would use imida and simida. So it is correct to use imida and simida in like while speaking too. But while speaking, yo coming at the last for 존댓말 is more common comparatively. So past tense, 사과였어요, 연필이었어요. 사과가 아니었어요, 연필이 아니었어요. So without particles it would be 사과 아니었어요, 연필 아니었어요. So both are correct. Now we'll see how it has changed. So 사과야. In informal, it was 사과야. So 사과야, that ya is changing to 예요. And this is in case where there is no button. And in case where there is button like 연필, it would become 에요. 연필이에요. Now 사과가 아니야. 아니야, that last ya just becomes 에요. So 사과 아니에요. That's it. Now for the past tense, 사과 아니었어, 연필이 아니었어. Both and 사과였어, 연필이었어. For both, you would just add a yo at the end, and that's that. And we have some more examples given here. That is 가게다. 가게 means shop. 가방이다. 가방 means bag, some kind of bag. It could be a handbag or a luggage bag, whatever. 소고기였다. So 소고기 means beef. 소 means cow and 고기 means beef. So 고기 means meat. So cow meat means that is beef. The same way, 물고기. 물 means water. It can mean any kind of water. And 고기 means meat. So water meat. What is water meat? That is fish. Of course, you also say 생선 for fish. That is also there. But 생선 is more of a bit more formal term, maybe? No. Yes, but 생선 is more like if you're looking at a fish in food point of view, it is 생선. If it is simply a fish point of view, then that is 물고기. That is how both works. Then 돼지. 돼지 means pig. And so 돼지고기 would be pig meat, and pig meat is pork. So for pork, it would be 돼지고기. Like that, you can break a lot of words in Korean, which would gain you a lot of new words, and it would also make the whole process of learning new words easier too. 선생님이었다. So 선생님 means teacher, but you would also call a lot of other people teachers. You would like 선생님, because 선생님 is more of suppose it's a term of respect. Suppose you are addressing a doctor, you would call that doctor 의사 선생님. 의사 means doctor, and 선생님 you're adding there as respect. The nim in itself, like you have a nim here, that in itself is a suffix you would add here and there for respect. You have 고객님. 고객님 means customer, so you're adding 님 there to give respect. The same way 사장님 means president of an establishment. The same like that. 대표님 means president of a country. Like that, you're adding 님 at the end for respect. Only for 의사 선생님, that is doctor. 의사 means doctor. You wouldn't say 의사님. That is wrong. Instead, you would say 의사 선생님. But in schools, it would be a bit hard to call 선생님 all the time, because if you try 선생님 like a tongue twister, it can really twist your tongue. So what they do is, children call their teachers 쌤. 쌤 is literally, you would write it like with 상시읒. With a 상시읒 and the 사랑의 에. It would be 쌤, like this. That's how you write 쌤. So continuing our examples, 꽃이 아니다. 꽃 means flower. 항구가 아니었다. 항구 means pot. 동물. 동물이 아니었다. 동물 means animal. So suppose you add a one to the end. 동물 means animal and one means some kind of establishment. So 동물 one means an establishment for animals, and that is a zoo. So that's how it works. So you could try to make very simple sentences, even if it is not logically correct. If it is grammatically correct, that's all right. So you could try to make small sentences with these examples that is given, or you could try making your own examples. And we have some more words given here, that is 시계야, 집이야, 비둘기였어, 사람이었어, 구름이 아니야, 빌딩이 아니었어, 닭고기가 아니었어. So these words, first 시계. 시계 means clock. So like clock and watch, in English clock would mean a wall clock, and watch would mean something like a hand watch. But in Korean, shige, you just have one word for both. The next one, 집이야. 집 means house. 비둘기. 비둘기 means pigeon. 사람 means person, human, that kind of meaning. 구름 means cloud. Building is the same as the building in English. Then you have 닭고기. 닭 means hen, and 고기, as you know, it's meat. So hen meat. What is hen meat? Hen meat is chicken. So that's how it works. So you could also try making examples, that is small sentences with these words, or what you can do is these both set of examples, you could try converting it into the other forms of it. Since we learn different forms of the same word, you could try applying those rules and making different forms of these set of words and upload it in the comment section. So I'll be looking into and correcting all of them. So no need to feel embarrassed or anything, because we are here to learn. So making mistakes is absolutely natural and it's absolutely all right. So feel free to make mistakes, because you're going to learn from those mistakes. I myself has made blunders, so that is absolutely all right. So also, if you have any doubts, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll be elaborating on that either in the next video or in the comments itself. And when you leave it in the comments, remember that your one comment of a doubt or an assignment can be an example or a help to another person whose understanding might not be as better as yours, or as good as yours, or someone whose understanding is better than yours, but they failed to see a point of view from which you see from. So remember, there's a side of things like that. So yeah, that is it for today's class. We'll be seeing with another topic in the next class. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for um, listening to my rambling, I guess, for nearly half an hour. Thank you, guys.